Welcome to Greenable Woodbridge. I am your host, Carolyn Ehrlich. Today we are honored to have as our guest Craig Coughlin, who is a Ford's resident and also the Speaker of the New Jersey Assembly. And he has been described as the third most powerful man in state government, right after the governor and the Senate president. So you have a pretty important job there.
Well, thank you, Carol. That's awfully kind.
Do you want to explain a little bit what it means to be the Speaker of the Assembly?
So thank you for that, and thank you for that awfully kind introduction. The Speaker is the head of the New Jersey General Assembly. I'll give everybody a 2-second civics lesson. There are 120 legislators in the state of New Jersey, 40 senators and 80 assembly people. The state is divided into 40 different districts. The head of the Senate House is the Senate President, and the head of the General Assembly is the Speaker. And the Speaker is charged with the overall running of the Assembly, and so decide which bills are taken up for consideration, decide which members sit on which committees, and decide the direction and course of the Assembly, and that's why it's generally regarded as such an important position, and it is. And I just remind you that it's the position that's important. If I get run over by a bus tomorrow, somebody else is the Speaker.
That's the way politics is.
Yeah, and it's about the job. It's not about who you are. So it's flattering to hear that, but it's not.
But it's a job. But how well you do your job is the individual person, and you do a phenomenal job.
I think. Well, that's again awfully kind of you, and I think that's probably true of everything, right? Getting the job is one thing, and then trying to be good at it is something that we all work to try to achieve. So,
as a matter of fact, under your leadership, the Assembly's impact has just been remarkable and far-reaching in so many areas of the state. If we were to talk about everything that you have accomplished, we would probably be here for 10 hours and lose all of our viewers. But let's just focus on the environment and sustainability.
Right.
Because there's certainly enough to talk about there. And I've heard it said that some of the environmental groups consider this to have been one of the best legislatures in a very, very long time, doing the most for them. So I'm sure we have a lot to talk about.
Well, we do, and thank you for that. And I'm very proud of our record on the environment in the legislature. We recognize that the world is changing, that climate change is real. Anybody who doesn't believe it at this point needs to rethink that position. Mm-hmm. And we have lots of evidence of that, right? There was one place in New Jersey was 108 degrees at one point this year. We have tornadoes. We have thunder and lightning storms in the middle of snowstorms at the end of the year. So, and the climate is just warming up. And so, we all have a vested interest in making sure that we take on these environmental challenges, and they're real. And I'm proud of the legislation that we've done to look down the road and to try to put in place things that will help us achieve real success in combating climate change and other things as we go down the road, because it's just so important for us, for sure, but for my grandchildren now. I have a couple of grandchildren, and for the generations after that, it's something we have to do. Mm-hmm. Somebody once said to me, I forget who it was, that look, the rock will be fine, Earth will be fine. It's the people who will who face the challenge.
That's a good way to look at it.
And that's true, right? Earth has been through any number of changes over the billions of years it's existed. But for us, for all of us, to continue to live the life that we live and enjoy the planet the way we do, we have to work at it.
Mm-hmm. And one of those areas that you have looked at is clean energy.
Yes.
And you've passed legislation to help create more clean energy, which at the same time helps create green jobs. Mm-hmm.
So they can be. Look, I think that one of the things we do need to recognize is as we change the way we look at energy, sources of energy and energy production and energy delivery, they offer the opportunity to have really good jobs for people. So when we talk about amalgamating the the energy request for a community, right? And having them have the opportunity to purchase energy that is made from a clean energy source, not necessarily on their building, which is kind of a unique thing. And I know we had, right? We had Woodbridge has had that for years now, right? You know, if you live in a small place and your home doesn't allow for enough solar panels, or you live in an apartment and you don't have solar panels that you can control, or just whatever there is, if you do it as part of the community project, the community purchase, then you can do that too.
We love that community solar program.
Yeah.
And are big participants in it.
Right.
We've actually been knocking on doors and getting people to sign up. And it's especially good for the people who are low to mod income.
Right.
Because your law says that I think maybe it's about 60% of the people who sign up for this have to be in that category.
Right.
And it really, really helps them, because what it does is it gives you a greenable source of energy and a little bit of a lower price for your energy. Right. So it's a win-win all around.
Yeah, and you don't have to be responsible for the installation or the maintenance, right? You can do it from another source that may have you know, there's the economies of scale. If you're putting it on top of a big warehouse, for example, and you're buying into that as opposed to a smaller roof, like, you know, might be on my house, something like that. It lets you do it. But we've also gone beyond that. You know, we've invested state resources in exploring wave energy and geothermal energy. All of those things are things that we need to, that may offer the opportunity for good jobs and offer another way, another source of providing the energy that we all need and welcome, right? I mean, I like to be warm in the winter, and I like to be cool in the summer, and I like, you know, to enjoy the benefits of having the air conditioning and heating. So we have energy requirements that are real. They power our industries. They keep our people employed. So we have to provide those things. So we shouldn't be myopic when we think of a power source. I think we should be broad-minded.
Even the nuclear energy is important.
Nuclear energy provides there's 3 nuclear power plants in the state of New Jersey that provide about 40% of New Jersey's energy overall, and it's obviously all clean energy. It's expensive though, and that's one of the reasons that we did take on supplementing the industry so that they could continue to provide and operate those power plants which needed work. In addition to that, you talked about jobs before, Carol. There's, I think, 1,700 direct jobs and about 7,000 indirect jobs for those 3 power plants. Right. And as you can well imagine, we're trying to replace 40% of our energy production from any source.
Right. And so that creates jobs.
Yes, it is challenged. So we do provide them with, you know, some supplemental help and keep those folks working and keep the air conditioning on.
Yep, literally. Right.
In a clean way.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, you know, they're emission clean. So.
And a lot of those wind farms are being developed down in southern New Jersey, where there aren't a lot of job opportunities. Right. Which is really, really good, giving more people the chance to work.
Yeah. So the wind industry is a unique opportunity. There is certainly some controversy around them, but I think it's important to know that there's one wind project that is really only one that's really underway. It's off coast of Atlantic City. It's 15 miles out. There was real concern, genuine concern about what the view will be like and how that will be affected. But I think at 15 miles out, they're about where you can get to. And it's complicated. I mean, the federal government outlines fields, they call them, that they're allowed to place the things on. But you know, as we talk about jobs, we've invested, the state has invested in facilities in Paulsboro and Salem County to manufacture and produce the monopoles and the other things that go along with the production of wind. And we have the opportunity in New Jersey to be one of the leaders in the entire East Coast. And so We're trying to balance those things along with respecting what I think is, look, the tourism is the second biggest industry in the state of New Jersey. By orders of magnitude, the biggest tourist attraction we have is the Jersey Shore. It's also, I think, a precious resource that we need to preserve and protect. So trying to balance all those things, right? The economy of a vibrant tourist industry, the beauty of the natural resource of the beach, the necessary change to move towards non-fossil fuels. Striking those all is tricky business, and try to provide jobs at one time. And so that's, the wind industry is complicated, and some people take advantage of that politically and have made issues out of some things.
And when
that
things
really
are new,
not issues.
there are a lot of questions, and until they see it happening, actually,
Right.
people understand
Right.
it.
Yeah.
So, and I think as time goes on, you'll be seeing more and more support as people learn more.
That's true. I mean, I think that's true. But people's concerns are genuine and real, and
Right.
that we, as I said, the Jersey Shore is precious, and we need to protect it.
That's a tough one.
It is tricky.
It is really tricky.
Yeah, it's tricky.
But we've even trying to create some jobs right here in Woodbridge. The company that's providing our community solar is going to be doing a job training program in the fall to teach people how to install solar panels.
Really?
So I'm very excited to get the word out about that.
Let me give you a compliment, and all of you here at Woodbridge. You are the leader, the state leader in sustaining and moving the environment forward. Right, I think you win the Sustainable Jersey
Thank
Award
you.
year after year after year, and that's why I'm saying it. This is not just not because I'm on the show today, not because I live in Woodbridge, not because I consider all of you friends, but the truth of the matter is the abstract proof is that you won the award. I think
Almost every year. Only one year they asked us not to do it, to give somebody else a try, and the mayor is furious about that one.
Yeah. So,
but every year.
But your record and your leadership, frankly, on this issue has been extraordinary. And the record of accomplishment and success, Woodbridge, I mean, it is truly the leader in making sure that we continue to move the preservation of the environment forward. Great work.
And that's a lead-in for me to say thank you to you for your support of Sustainable Jersey. That is a state nonprofit organization that almost every municipality in the state belongs to it, and they have a roadmap with all of these actions that you can take to be more sustainable. And that's how we do what we do. We just follow the actions and do almost all of them.
Well, they do terrific work.
Yeah.
And they, to your point, there's nothing like a good roadmap to help people get to success. And obviously, you have mastered it here in Woodbridge, but other communities would who do benefit or follow along, benefit from it, and that's good for all of us.
Yes.
Right? It's good for everybody in the state.
Right, and I have to share the credit because it's through the mayor's leadership, and we have a phenomenal team that works on it with us. So,
yeah, John McCormick has become as green a mayor as there is in the state.
He always says,
not just because
I never thought I thought I'd be all about economics and the environmental and the arts and all of that, and he is.
But it is, and I think those all are linked together. You mentioned the arts, and it's a little outside the scope of today's show.
Not really, because that's part of sustainability.
Yeah, I mean, they really are linked, right? And I think community after community has now come to understand the value of having the arts in their community, right? In terms of the quality of life for their residents, in terms of the economic benefit from having those facilities here, people using it, the ability to be convivial and have dinners and have resources. So they are, and they make the community better and more, a broader, more whole community. So they're having a commitment to the environment, having, you see the beautiful scenes behind us of the Pinot Forest, right? I don't think probably a lot of people didn't know there was a forest in Woodbridge.
Yes.
But there is, and preserving it, protecting it, that's why the Green Acres program has been so popular now.
Right. Talk about that a little. Explain what that is.
Well, the Green Acres program is one that's been around for quite a while, and what it is I think each year we invest over $100 million in funding in the budget, so that communities can obtain that money and then go buy pieces of land so that to preserve them, which is good for the environment, good for the community. It prevents them from being developed and provides, in some instances, recreation. In other places, just protection. Because we all benefit from having all the things that open space will provide, and so that's a very popular system across the state. It's people. You try to balance development and open space and the environment, and all those things come together, and it's a resource for communities to draw on. And then of course there's the corollary to that, and we've seen it work with great success, the Blue Acres program here in Woodbridge. And as we talk about the impact of climate change, and one of the things that goes along with that too often is flooding. And we saw that particularly in Superstorm Sandy, but time and again, there's sections of Woodbridge that flooded. And Blue Acres is designed to allow the purchase of homes in areas that they probably shouldn't have been put in the first place.
Right.
But nonetheless, they're people's homes, and they're there, and they love them. But the frustration of being flooded, I remember talking to the folks, in Woodbridge where that would happen. They would say, like, a big shower in the middle of the day would cause flooding by the street. And, so, and then a big rainstorm would create all kinds of problems.
Yep.
And then of course, then we had the monster storm. But that's not unique to Woodbridge. That is something that exists throughout the state. And so the Blue Acres Fund provides resources.
And we've taken that a step forward, and we have done a beautiful remediation of that property.
Yes.
And we have trails, we have recreation areas, we have meadows, and we've been working with Rutgers, and it is a model of, you just don't tear down the houses.
Right.
You make something of it.
Right. Exactly right.
And you turn the Blue Acres into a green
herd
acre.
Of deer in there. I mean, there are deer everywhere in the state. We keep taking away their natural habitat, right? They got to find somewhere to go.
We just actually did what's called the BioBlitz, where we, Rutgers came out, and we did a list of all the living things in that area.
Oh, wow.
The insects, the birds, the animals, and we'll be publishing that soon. And then we'll use that as a base, and to see as the area grows, how many more animals come to it.
That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. It's really cool stuff, and a lot of young people were there helping with it.
Really?
So it was a good little project.
That's neat.
So, and then out of the Green Acres program, and I think it might even be the same state funding source, you have the HDSRF program, where you give funding to clean up brownfields. And that comes out of the corporate tax, I think.
Yep.
And we have really used that a lot. Our whole Caseby area is a brownfield development area.
Right. I mean, it's taken one of the worst sites in town and turned it into a productive area. There's the power plant down there right now.
Yep.
I think the other example, I think for Woodbridge residents who know where Avenel Pack is right now, right?
Yep.
And the apartments around.
Tens of millions of dollars of cleanup.
That doesn't happen without those
the
kind
state
of funding, right?
Absolutely.
Because that was a brownfield.
People forget that there was a factory there.
Yeah.
That was a heavy polluter.
Heavy polluter, and because it was there for decades.
Right.
And then it sat fallow for decades more, right? Even after it closed.
Yep.
We're talking about the General Dynamics plant, right? So I remember it just being there and nothing going on because it was too expensive to clean up. And now it's turned into a real productive site.
And going back
and cleaned up, which is good for the neighborhood, by the way.
Absolutely. The property values have gone up. It's fantastic. And
the parks are clean. My wife...
And we've had more economic development. Stores and restaurants are opening up in Avenel.
My wife grew up not far from there. She grew up behind the Avenel Pharmacy. And there was a park up there. The parents at some point said to
No,
kids,
you can't go there.
Don't go there.
No.
It's too
And they were
dangerous.
right.
Yeah, they were right. They were right. So.
And going back to Caseby, so you talked about the power plant, but part of that was the balanced redevelopment.
Right.
And we finally have just about finished cleaning up the whole area, and we'll be opening up I hope this fall, the walkway. And it'll be our first access to the Raritan River.
Really?
So we'll let you know when that is.
Yeah,
That's
we'll go there
pretty
for the grand
exciting.
opening. Yeah. That'll be exciting.
Yeah.
It really is.
So
You know.
they're done with the cleanup pretty much. Now what they have is a filing cabinet full of papers that they have to submit to DEP.
We'll send a truck up to pick up just a filing cabinet. They have to make
Right.
copies.
So, and you know, while we're talking about the great things that you've done for the town, and then we'll go back to other stuff, I do want to mention that you have been supportive of so many things for Woodbridge. You and the legislature, not just you,
Yeah,
and the governor. And the improvements on Route 9 and Main Street
Yeah.
and Route 9, huge.
Yeah, that's a game changer, right? Anybody who's had to
Absolutely.
drive Main Street, as I have for decades
Yeah.
now, like at the end of the workday it's really tough. And in fact, like, there's traffic all day, all the time, and hopefully that we're not that far away from completion
We're
of
almost,
that project.
yep, it's supposed to be done by the end of October.
Right, which is right around the corner.
Yeah. And of course you've helped with the marina.
Well, the marina that's a real, another thing. I mean, but it look, so we certainly, I'm proud of the work that we've done in the legislature to be supportive of that, but the leadership comes from the town, right? It comes from you, it comes from the mayor, it comes from the council, everybody who is of a single mind here to make sure that we continue to improve Woodbridge Township, right? Having a marina that was, let's be kind and say it was a place that needed some loving care. It's going to be a very vibrant place, right? We were down there, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, talking about how the plan for that, and the plan for the restaurant facilities, and the plan to improve the facilities so people can really enjoy it and use it. So, yeah, and easing a traffic problem. That's what we're supposed to do. That's how it works best.
Yep.
The town talks to the
and
state,
connecting
the
it to the
makes sure
park
they
down
get
there,
their
there'll
fair
be a
share.
bridge. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, so.
And then of course Acacia and Cypress, and there's
Well,
never
Cypress is a special project
Yeah.
for anybody who doesn't know, right? It's a park for special needs.
Yeah.
Usually young people, but people, and it's just one of the gems of the township, and something we all ought to
really
be
is.
proud of as a community.
And when you look at Cypress 1, it's just amazing to see.
Yeah.
So it's Cypress 2 will be twice as good.
That's right.
So before we stop,
Yeah.
we have to move on to your favorite. I'm pretty sure this is your favorite topic, and this is something you've been passionate about since I've known you, before you were even elected to the assembly, and that's food scarcity.
Yeah.
Scarcity, and you.
Well, like.
Yes. So through your leadership.
Yes, it is, and I've made it certainly the cornerstone of my speakership, and we should be really proud as a state of the work that we have done. But I was fortunate enough to be invited. President Biden had a food insecurity conference last fall in Washington. It was the first time in 60 years that a president has addressed that. And he has declared that we're going to solve this problem, and we will, because we don't have. It's not that we lack food; it's that we just lack being able to get it to people who need it. But the great part about it is you hear other states and talk about what they're doing and share ideas. And the truth of the matter is, more often than not, what they were talking about aspirationally in other states, we're talking about things that are already in our rearview mirror. We have the first in the nation food insecurity advocate, has an office within the state. We've invested, I think in this year's budget, there are $85 million dedicated to supporting food pantries. When there was a cliff that came from in the SNAP program. What happens is SNAP benefits are incredibly low, folks. If you can't imagine how low they really are for a minimum level for people to try to provide for their families. we had already intended, we passed it by law, ours was going to go up to $50 a month, which is a sizable increase, believe it or not. And then with the supplement from the feds, it was up to $95 a month. Even then, try to feed a family for $95 a month. But that ended, and Congress wasn't going to renew it, so states stepped in, and so we did it. So we've added school lunch programs. We've expanded that. We have really worked to make sure that we're addressing the issue, because it is such a debilitating challenge for anyone who faces it. Think about it for a second. Just think about if every day, you have to get up and figure out how you're going to feed yourself or your family that day. And it's not because you didn't make it to the grocery store the night before. It's because there's not a lot of resources. And we have to do it in a way that is dignified for the people who do it. And so we're working really hard at that. The other thing is, though, it gives us an opportunity to do things like help the environment. So as we talk about the environment, right? So we have, we're in the process of mandating that the large, there's sort of regional food banks that support the individual pantries, right? Here it's community food in Hillside, that they buy a certain percentage from local farmers. We allowed SNAP and WIC benefits to be used at farmers markets.
And we did.
The whole goal of that is to help the environment, in addition to helping farmers, in addition to helping to provide fresh, nutritious foods for everybody. So to the extent that there's less transportation cost, there's also less transportation pollution. So to the extent that people can eat a more healthy, fresh from the farm product than something less healthy, and use their SNAP, it just makes sense to be able to use their SNAP benefits from that, right? So we're going to continue to try to push the envelope. We're going to continue to try to do that because it's good for people. It is something I think is more of a moral obligation than a governmental function, I think.
Yes.
And it also helps, we need farmers to help sustain us, right? They do a critically important job. And help the environment too. So they all come together.
Right. And in Woodbridge, we're following your lead. We've put together a food task force under Peter Barcelona, who just does a phenomenal job with our food pantries.
He's a really terrific guy and a terrific leader. I have a sort of an ad hoc committee of food and security leaders from around the state. And
I'm sure he's on it. And we started a program called Restaurant Rescue. And as we go to, because we have to go to each restaurant for their inspection, so for their annual inspection, we give them a flyer to show them how you can wrap up your leftover food properly and send it over to the pantry. And now that we've had a donation of freezers and refrigerators, we can have a lot more good food and
a lot more protein.
They're in the schools. They're doing what they can to, in a dignified way, make sure that children who aren't getting the meals they should be getting are getting them. They have sharing tables now where you didn't eat your apple, put it on there, and it's okay for somebody else.
Those
just
are the kind
to
of
take
things that will help us
Yeah.
solve this thing, right? Biggest school issues are summertime and weekends and vacation time, time off at the holidays or something like that. We need to continue to work on that. We did it during the pandemic. We can do it again.
Yes, absolutely. We had home delivery for all those meals.
Right.
That was absolutely beautiful.
Exactly.
So I think we've covered an awful lot.
We have. Thank you for all that. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming. I know you're so busy.
All the stuff that Woodbridge does, it really is truly a model. So.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for everything that you do for the state, for the residents of New Jersey, the residents of Woodbridge.
Oh, thanks. That's kind.
Yeah, it's really great to have a leader like you. We're all kind of blessed.
Well, it's good to be here.
Thank you. So thank you for watching Greenable Woodbridge, and for being part of the excitement and part of the change. Thank you, Assembly Speaker.
Thank you, Carol. Good to be with you.